Great, let's go. Hello, welcome everybody. Welcome to our latest LocalGov Drupal Week 2026 session, 2025. I'm getting ahead of myself. Thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have so many people here. I'm Finn, tech lead at LocalGov Drupal, and today we're joined by Mark Conroy of The Confident and front-end lead for LocalGov Drupal to present a session called Designing for LocalGov Drupal. That's the title, isn't it, Mark? Sorry, I'm just
Yes.
going off. Yeah. Okay. Very cool. So thank you, Mark, for running the session. We'd also like to take a quick opportunity to thank our sponsors. Of course, this would not be possible without a generous sponsorship from our event sponsors, including Anatech, who hold the current development contract for the lead developer for LocalGov Drupal. Agile Collective, our previous dev team through alpha and beta phases, and microsites, and who still hold our support and maintenance and hosting contract to keep the infrastructure ticking over. Thanks to Big Blue Door too, who are currently sponsoring Mark Conroy, the very same, to work on the platform. Thanks also to all our subscribers, our council subscribers, our supplier subscribers, and our supporting partners who contribute financially to the project to help keep the core team and infrastructure ticking over and to run events like this. So just in case anyone isn't familiar with Zoom, top right, there is a little view icon which you can click to flip between gallery, multi-speaker, or immersive, so you can sort out the view that you like the most. As we go through, do please put questions in the chat. There's a few of us who'll be monitoring the questions in the chat. Mark has said if it's a sort of pertinent question of the moment, I might interrupt you, Mark, and just say there's a question about this if it's contextual. Otherwise, we can save them to the end and run through. We are recording the session for future reference, so please do keep muted if you're not speaking, and if you don't want, feel free to have your camera on or off as desired. So without further ado, I will hand over to Mark Conroy and Designer for Drupal.
Thank you very much, Finn. I'm going to get straight into this because we've about 40 minutes for a presentation and 10 for questions and answers, and we've about 60 minutes of talking to do. So time is not on our side. So I think a lot of people here probably know me already. I've been involved with LocalGov Drupal since the beginning. About a year and a half ago, I set up my own agency called The Confident. There's Strapline, the leading consultants for all things Drupal, LocalGov Drupal, and design systems. I'm not going to get into what we do there. You can check out the website yourself if you want. It's theconfident.com with a little hyphen between the and confident. And very soon it will also be, I think, the first multilingual Drupal agency in Ireland and the UK. So we'll be launching the Irish version of the website very, very soon. So let's get straight into this. We're going to look at the idea of designing for LocalGov Drupal. So at the moment, I'm putting together a course called, very imaginatively, Build a LocalGov Drupal website. I can be a bit of a Ron Seal person in terms of it does exactly what it says on the tin. The first module of that is designing for LocalGov Drupal. So I thought I might as well kind of share the contents of that first module, that first chapter with ourselves today, and see where we get. It actually turns out a lot of this isn't just designing for LocalGov Drupal. This is, I think, can hold true no matter what the platform you're using is, whether it's WordPress or whether it's Drupal or whether it's LocalGov Drupal. So there's a couple of things I want to think about, and I think this gets back to the heart of the philosophy of LocalGov Drupal. So like the aim really with LocalGov Drupal was shared resources, shared design patterns, sharing knowledge and research, and that is to allow us then to work kind of what I say, working at scale, work quickly, work without compromising any quality. Just because something is fast or created quickly, just because something is cheaper than it had been years ago, doesn't mean, that triangle, you can have faster, you can have cheaper, you can have good quality. Well, I'd like to think with LocalGov Drupal, we can have all of these. And I want these to hold true then, whether we're talking about designing, building, or supporting LocalGov Drupal, that we can design things faster, we can build things faster, and we can support things faster. And then it should mean that we can then design and build and support more things, or we can save money and divert that money into somewhere else, maybe not even into our websites. We can divert that money into maybe homeless services or health services or something like that. So that's like this is kind of what I think is important about this and what I try to aim towards. How do we do these three things? Work at scale, work quickly, don't compromise quality. So what we'll have a look at today in our session is the idea of getting inspiration. Where are we going to find inspiration for our designs that allow us to fulfill these 3 parameters? Then having a look at the LocalGov Drupal design system itself and using that to our advantage. So I do see some councils designing way outside the general design parameters of LocalGov Drupal, and that's perfectly fine, but that is more expensive, and that does take longer to implement, and that does mean you will have a bigger support bill and maintenance bill when it comes out. And if you can afford all that and you know that up front, that's perfectly fine. But I'm more interested in the sweet spot between everyone's website looking the same and a big, huge, flashy website. Then we look at the idea of designing just enough. Designing what we need to design, not designing things that aren't going to be used. My favorite bit, item 4, manipulating the LocalGov Drupal demo site. So we'll have a look at hacking a little bit live on that website and how that can kind of help us to, the phrase I'm using is cheating, but if we want to be positive, we could call it rapid prototyping. And then we'll have a brief look at an example of all of the above in practice. So I'm working at the moment with Colchester City Council, and using all of the principles in this, we designed the new Colchester website, or the alpha phase of it, in about 6 to 8 days. And we've got it built in, again, I don't know, maybe 20 days or something like that. They're rough figures, but I know that this approach will work, and we don't have to lose any quality in terms of what we're doing. What you'll see in this, there's nothing here that mentions how to use Figma. There's nothing here that says how to write CSS. There's nothing here that says how to write HTML. There's not here that says how to hold your meetings or your scrums. So it is much more of a kind of a theoretical or philosophical approach rather than how to use any specific tools. So the first thing, I try to be positive in things I do, and I'm calling this getting inspiration. But really, what I'm talking about here is steal. Don't cheat. Don't create. So and I thought it was very clever calling this Mark's first law of design. So have a look at what other people have done, and don't reinvent the wheel. We have in LocalGov Drupal, we've got, actually no, I'll get onto that maybe in a slightly later slide. What I've got here is a couple of links. Now, I don't expect you to be able to read these, but we can share the slides later on and you can get them. As part of building my Build a LocalGov Drupal course, I put together a design system. I would encourage people to look at this as a starting place for your designs for LocalGov Drupal. So I'm making the design system free. Anybody can use it. So let me just copy this link. I want to open this in a private window. Okay, so here's the design system that we've got. It's pretty simple. So what we've got is a couple of colors. So what are our accent colors? So we've got 2 in this case here. These are the LocalGov Drupal colors, the navy and the yellow. We've got a black and a white. The black actually isn't black. You can see here it's almost black. It's 222. Sometimes there's kind of accessibility issues with too much screen glare if a color is actually black. And then we've got some neutral colors. The neutral colors, we've called them gray, light, lighter, lightest, dark, darker, darkest. I think this is very easy for people to understand. Anybody, whether they're a designer, whether they're a content designer, a content editor, whether they're a front-end developer, back-end developer, or whatever, will have a fair idea that when you design something and you say that the button should be dark gray, this is what we mean. It's not gray 126, it's not gray 200, it's not gray 300. And when you hover a dark gray button, it gets darker. Oh, that's probably this color here. So we have these very simple human ways of understanding what's in our design system. This style guide is very small. As you can see, we've got our brand colors at the top, our neutral colors underneath that, followed by typography. Typography is very simple as well. We've got 3 heading sizes. So we've got, and we're calling these, we call these large, larger, largest. I've got a few typos here by calling it largest, largest. But these are the 3 heading styles we want. I haven't called them H1, H2, H3. The reason I haven't is because this second one here, our second largest heading, this is going to be the size of our, more than likely, the size of our largest heading when it's on a small screen. The third largest heading is probably going to be the size of our second largest when it's on a small screen. So instead, I like to give these kind of human readable names. The largest of any heading we will have across our website is this one. The larger one we will have will be here, and the larger one will be this size here. And the same then with our default font sizes. We've got 2. Default is 1 rem. In most browsers, that would be 16 pixels. If someone, for whatever reason, has upped their default browser size to 20 pixels or something, it will equate to that. And we've got a larger font size as well. And the same with our spacing scale. So we've got a few different spaces that we can have between items, either between grids or between menu items or things like that. And again, we give those all lovely, easy to understand, human relatable names. Small, smaller, smallest, large, larger, largest. Of course, that wasn't enough, so we did have to invent mega at one stage. But I think that's a very good starting point for anyone's design system. It gives us all the basics that we have in LocalGov Drupal. And in LocalGov Drupal, we actually don't use much more than that. So you will see some design systems with 20 different font sizes and 100 different colors and 20 different grays. In LocalGov Drupal, we don't need that. Let me come back to you here. So after the style guide, then we've got, if you click again on the on that prototype, we can look at the patterns section. So we'll come over here, you see the little sidebar menu thingy, click on that, and we've got these components. And this has for us 2 pages. So one page here is individual components. So a header on its own, breadcrumbs as a component on its own, a box link as a component on its own, and so on. I won't go through the rest of them. And the second page of this then, it's got what we call patterns. So that is box links. The pattern for a box link is that they come in grids of 3. So that's what our pattern looks like. The pattern for a page title and the page introduction is that they come one after the other, but the introduction after the title and a certain amount of space between one and the other. The pattern for our link and summary block is that it comes in a 3-column grid. So we've got the idea here on the left, individual components, and on the right, our patterns. And then the last section of this then is our designs. So designs is for all of the individual pages we have. And you can see the designs are just simply collections of patterns and components. So the header, there's the header component here, and that just goes into every single item across the website. The next is the component for the banner. And then we've got the pattern for the box links, then the pattern for the service links, and so on. We're going to come back to this. I just want to kind of show us this quickly, that in terms of place for inspiration, a place for you to start. Well, there's a fully fleshed out, fully designed style guide and component library and page design system that everyone is free to use for your next projects. After that, then let's have a look at the idea of learning from the best. So there are some councils, and take this as praise, not criticism, that I know have spent a lot of money on their websites. I know Greenwich, I've done some work with Greenwich, and they're an absolutely brilliant team, and their website is absolutely brilliant. And I know they spend a lot of money on design and a lot of money on research. And because of that, for the projects we're going to see later on, I've stolen a lot of the ideas that I had in that. But I think that's what we're supposed to do in LocalGov Drupal. I think we're trying to share and we're trying to learn from each other. I've done some work with Essex, and again, the same thing. The Essex website looks fantastic. We'll see these components here. If you have a look at those, they're not too far off these components here. If we see the My Council Services item here with the underline on it, it's not too far off the Essex one here with the half underline. So we are, or at least I am learning from the best. Hammersmith and Fulham, I love this website. I haven't worked with Hammersmith and Fulham, but I know Chicken who do their work, and they're great. And I always think this website here has, for a council website, has got a great kind of spirit about it. There's always a bit of liveliness in it. I love the way the reds are kind of not at the bottom where you often have these things where they kind of come through titles and that. So use some of the other websites that are there and see what they've done, and see this is the new.norwich.gov.uk. So I'm guessing the new will be gone soon enough when it's finished being in alpha phase. But again, very, very nice, very clean website. This is a pattern we see in a lot of microsites actually for councils. The idea of a silhouette at the bottom. I don't see it as much on the main websites, but I think it looks great here on the Norwich site. And then follow the leaders. I think this is really important. We received from the UK government the better part of £1 million between a research phase, an alpha phase, a beta phase, setting up the cooperative and the microsite section, all that, to figure out what are the needs of a local government website and to design patterns that we would use for those. And we base a lot of our work on the GovUK design system, and that has been tested at scale and is battle tested across millions and millions of users every day of the week, and lots of iterations. Please, follow our lead here. Use what we're using. Spending loads of money on research that comes back and tells you the things you need are box links and IA blocks and newsroom teasers and subsite overviews, step-by-step patterns. Well, we can tell you that already. So try to save some of that research money into either building new components or validating existing components. And if possible, it would be great if we could start collating the research that different agencies and different councils are doing and share that all together so we can continue building our shared resources. When I was in school in Ireland, we've got an exam at the end of your secondary school called Leaving Cert. In the UK, it would equate to the A levels. And King Lear was the Shakespeare play I had to study. And I think I used to know it off by heart. And I went and studied in college a couple of times. I wrote my final year thesis on it. And I love this quote here from Kent. "It is my duty, sir, to speak plainly." And I tried to figure out where was it in King Lear he said that while I was looking yesterday. And I can't find it anywhere, so I must have just made it up. So anyway, I'm going to pretend Kent in King Lear says it's my duty, sir, to speak plainly, and we're going to get straight to the point. So when you're starting to design your design system, I know some designers are going to die on this sword and tell me I'm wrong, and I know I'm going to die on my sword and say no. I know what I'm saying about here will scale, but I would say don't do this. I see this all the time with color systems, with spacing systems, with fonts, with font sizes. The idea we've got like so many of them. Like every council probably needs 2 colors. You might want a few variations of those colors, but you probably need 2 colors. You probably got your primary brand color and a secondary brand color. If your brand color is red with say like this red here, you might want a hover state that's slightly darker, and you might have an action state that's slightly lighter. But it's within this range here. You probably don't need all these shades and tints and hues of pink and purple and violet and indigo and blue and cyan and teal and all the way around it. So I would say try to keep things much more simple. Design the things that you actually need. So in LocalGov Drupal, we have done that, and if you look then again at the prototype style guide I made available, we have similar. So we've got our colors. We've only got we call them accents in LocalGov Drupal. We probably should have called them brand colors, but for whatever reason we've called them accents, so we'll stick with that. So, but we've only got two of them. We've got this blue here and this yellow here, and then we've got neutrals, which is our grays, and we've got what 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 8 different grays. For our fonts, we've got a primary and a secondary font. So one font that we might use for headings or for buttons or call to actions, and one font that we'll use for body text. We got our font sizes. Again, there's only 5 of them, 3 heading font sizes and 2 text font sizes. And so all of the variables that we create in that design system is 5 text styles and maybe 10 color styles. And that's it. And we can create each of those then as CSS variables called color accent, color spacing, or spacing largest, color gray darkest, color gray darker. Again, all human. What I'm saying here at the top here, be human, be agnostic. These will scale across any design system you want. If you call your color accent and it's red, and you got a microsite, but that's going to use blue for its main kind of accent color, well, you can still use the same variable called color accent. So this kind of thing scales. So think about this. Think about who's going to have to use this. Well, the brand people might be using it, the marketing people might be using it, the designers might be using it, the developers might be using it. When you think of all those people, you got to come up with a system that is a human system. We talk about user-centered design all the time. Well, let's think about user-centered handoff from designers to developers and that. So I would say do this instead. I think this is much easier to understand. Let's have a look back at our design system and our style guide. I don't think anybody is going to get lost when they read this and they see that, okay, navy, it's called color accent, and this is the actual value of it. And yellow is called color accent 2, and this is the value of it. These are our grays, and this is very easy to understand. And because it's so simple to understand, it will scale. this isn't exactly my first law of design. I must have copied this slide from previously, but we'll go with this being my second law of design. Let's fix it while we're here. Second law of design: know your enemy. Okay, this is an album here from the Manic Street Preachers called "Know Your Enemy." Much underrated. I thought it was a really good album, released back in 2001 or thereabouts. We're going into battle against LocalGov Drupal's templating system. I'm the person that wrote most of the templating of LocalGov Drupal, and I know it's not perfect, and I know there are things we've got to either work around or override or accept. And that's fine, no matter what system we use, whether it's a default Drupal, whether it's LocalGov Drupal, whether we write our own system, whether we use WordPress. This holds true. We need to understand what are we working with or what are we working against, depending on whether you want to look at it in a negative or a positive manner. So I think we need to understand the templating system well. Have a chat with your front-end developers, or have a chat with, if you haven't got a front-end development team yet, have a chat with the LocalGov Drupal team, or come to tech drop-ins or something to talk about what is the order of items in the HTML. Because if I design with this items in the same order, we don't need to override templates. If we don't need to override templates, we have less work to do, and we have less maintenance to do. But also, they are future-proofed. I'll show you in a second. Actually, we'll have a look at it now. If we look at the demo.localgovdrupal.org website here, and we look at the HTML in the header. So in the header, we got a very specific order of items. Maybe we shouldn't, okay? Maybe we did something wrong when we did this, but we do. So in terms of this is how things currently are, and maybe we can create some issues to have this fixed. But knowing what we're up against at the moment, this is what we have. First, we get the block called header block, and we can put whatever we want inside that. We've decided to put our logo into it, which looks like the right thing. Then we've got this section here called header toggles. Now, this is not configurable in LocalGov Drupal the way this header block is. You can put any blocks you want in there. We've got the primary nav area, and that's got two regions, one called primary menu and one called search. Again, we could take the search block and paste that block inside the primary menu region. That's how the block system works in Drupal. But one thing, like I said a moment ago, we can't do is the header toggles are hard-coded to this area here. Now, what this means is if you would rather have your menu first and then your search bar and then your services button over after it, you need to clone or copy the header template in LocalGov Drupal to your own custom team. And then any updates that ever come out for the header in LocalGov Drupal, you will not get them. Now, as long as you know that in advance, you can say, that's okay, we're happy to do that. Or if you know in advance that you're not happy to do that, well, then just when you're designing this, make sure you design it with the services button comes before the menu and leave things as they are. The easiest way to know what is where or what order I should put things in is look at the demo site, because the demo site doesn't override any templates. All the demo site does is change some CSS. So that's one thing, the header, the services menu, and these are all kind of hard-coded into a specific position. Next is the news and blogs. So if you look at any page across our website, we've got this page header section. Let's see. So we've got this page title here, and we've got the introduction field here. And if we look at a different page, we've got the same thing, page title here, but we've obviously got no content in the introduction field. And it would be same, for any other pages we look at across the website. If we click on, I don't know, step by steps, for example, as well. So we got the title on the top, and then the summary would be here if there was a summary. News posts don't do this. News articles don't do this. We decided, and I'd say I think it was me that made this decision, and I think I did it in error looking at it now. But we decided when we're building the news component that part of, I think we're right in this part of it, that the title of a page should be inside the body of the page in HTML. So this little element here called article, this should have all the parts of the article. So the news article's title, plus its metadata, plus its tags, plus its image, and everything else. We don't for all the rest of our content types, but we decided to, let's say we decided to fix that for news. So what it means is that in news, this section here is inside a different template section. Knowing that in advance means you can design the news posts with that in mind. Not knowing that in advance, you're going to wonder, why do we not have this line here under news? You won't as a designer, but the developers will, so it's extra work for them. And it's the same with blogs. The blogs and the news both take the same approach. If we look then at the newsroom and the blog channel, so you will look at a newsroom and say, okay, I want this block here to be placed below the facets blocks. Well, that's very simple. In Drupal, normally you go to the blocks placement page and you move the things up and down. But in LocalGov Drupal, in newsrooms, and again, I'm going to be good on myself and say for some reason rather than it's my fault. In newsrooms, we have decided that the sidebar is actually hard-coded into the template. And not just hard-coded into the template, we've also decided the order of items in that sidebar. That search comes before facets. Now, if you want to put that the other way around, or you want to have no sidebar at all, your front-end developers will have to, it's not a huge amount of work, but they'll have to get this template here, copy it, and paste it down to designing LocalGov Drupal templates content, paste it in here, and then reorder these items. That's fine, that's done, and that's very simple. But in the future, if we add something new to the newsroom template, such as we add in, let's see, here we add in, for example, an image. That image will never show up on your website unless you know that that's being made available in here, and then you copy and paste that into your template. So again, just while we're thinking about trying to design at scale, trying to design with speed and trying to not lose quality as much as possible, try to design in such a way that you don't need to override templates. And that does mean a conversation with your front-end developers to see what is the templating system and what is where. Bill Gates said this, and apparently he did actually say it. I didn't make this one up. Choose a lazy person to do a hard job because a lazy person will find an easy way to do it. So I would say in terms of this, what I'm really getting at here is design as little as possible. Design only the components that you intend to use. So if you look at the homepage of LocalGov Drupal, and you can see we've got these IA blocks. We've got these this media with text component, some newsroom teasers, a callout box, and some links and summaries, and 2 more callout boxes. Well, if that's all you're going to use on the homepage, and that's all you're going to use on the other subsite overview pages, that's all you need to design. We have lots of more components available in there. But as a note to the site builders among us, remove those if you're not using them. If they're not going to be used, if you're not using accordions, if you're not using tabs, if you're not using embedded lists and things like that, remove those. You just check the box as available fields in that section, and just design what you actually intend to use. And with this, try to build a shared language between LocalGov Drupal, between designers, between content designers, and between your site builders. So I can imagine a designer coming to LocalGov Drupal and looking at this and saying, okay, let's see, this thing here, that's called an image with text component. Okay, we all agreed on that. And we might all be agreed on it, but if you inspect the code for it, you will see that it's not called an image with text component. This is actually called a media with text component, simply because it allows us to have images or videos inside it. So, you know, it's just a small thing, but it's nice to have a shared language that we're all using the same words for the same things. The same when you look down here, you might say, oh yeah, these things here, these look like cards. Let's call these cards. But if we inspect them, we'll see that, well, the CSS calls them link blocks. So we should call them link blocks. If you actually went one step further, and we had all the debugging on our website, we'll see then that they're not even called link blocks, although that's probably a better name for them. Or maybe it's not. These are actually called link and summary. So again, you know, have a chat with the LocalGov Drupal people. Have a look at the docs on docs.localgovdrupal.org. Have a chat with your front end developers, just so we can build up this shared language, so you can design quicker. That you're not designing a card And when someone implements a card, well, we already have everything in LocalGov Drupal called a card, and this is not it. You know, when we got teasers in LocalGov Drupal, and these aren't teasers. These look more like cards up here. So just that we have that kind of shared language for what we're doing. Our icons, I keep seeing designers designing custom icons, and fair play, you're brilliant at doing it, and they look great, and maybe they do add that little bit of extra pop, but this is more work for your front-end developers, and this is more maintenance for yourselves, and this takes you longer to develop if you have to do that. We have all of Font Awesome available out of the box in LocalGov Drupal. So if you look at our code base here, and we look inside LocalGov base, and we look inside the includes directory, we have a few icons we used to use in the earlier days, let's say, but then we decided to get Font Awesome and Font Awesome 6, and every single Font Awesome icon from FA6 is available out of the box. So if these icons are good enough for you, use them. If not, and you need to design your own custom ones, do so. But you can see we've got every single brand you could ever ask for. There's hundreds of them there, and the same with all the regular icons, and the same with all of the solid icons. If you don't want to look at all the names and guess what things are, you can come to Font Awesome. You can use your search icon here, and we can search for, let's say, 7.1, everything in Font Awesome 6, and it's the free version we have. So we're going to look at everything in Font Awesome 6, that's free, and we can look for, we'll say, calendar. And there's all the calendar icons we have. So if you need something different, go design it, that's perfectly fine, but check here first to see if what we have will cover your needs. The same with Chevron, the same with, let's see, we look at Facebook icons and things like that. So we have all these available. When you're creating components then in Figma, and I'm going to, I suppose, go over this one kind of quickly, because I'm guessing every Figma designer, every designer here knows exactly well how to use Figma and how to use components. But create a component for each of the create a Figma component. A Figma component is a specific thing in Figma for each of the items you're designing for. So one for header, one for footer, one for breadcrumbs. This means, if you're on your style guide here, and let's say we're looking here at the, well, we look at the accent color maybe. So the accent color here is, no, we won't. We look at the, sorry, at the footer, and the footer here is black, and it's across all of the website. Well, you can come to the footer component, and that should be down at the bottom, and we'll change the fill color from black to accent. And when you do that, then because it's a component and it's reused across all of the designs, it will update everywhere that the footer is across the website. Again, this is a scale thing, and this is a speed thing, and this is a kind of a process thing. I would ask you as well to be conscious then of what I call Figma hygiene, that you put things into nice readable names for each of the pages you're designing, and even within that, each of the pages, let me zoom in here a little small bit, that you order the things in terms of the order that they're going to be seen on page. So the header comes at the top, and then the banner, and then the box links. See lots of designs with maybe this the banner, the header below the banner. It doesn't make any difference in terms of the design, but it's just an extra bit of cognitive load on your front-end developers when they're trying to figure out or trying to find what is where. Inside your header then, of course, your header border, your logo, your navigation, name all your groups, name all your layers, put that extra bit of time to doing that. It will pay off dividends when the front-end developers are developing it, but also when you come back to this in 6 months' time, you're trying to figure out what is rectangle 67. It'd be better if you know if it's called header border. Okay. For the homepage, we said this a few minutes ago, design just what you need here again. So the hero banner, paragraphs 5 that we're going to use on the homepage, or the subsite overviews, and the same then listing page items. This isn't a huge amount of work. If we design this much, and you have this available, which we have in our Figma prototype, if we have this much available, you will have 80% or more of the things you will need for LocalGov Drupal already designed. And then you can focus then on making sure that they're implemented to perfection. Now, Jesse Ventura, the old WWF superstar, and I think was he state governor of Arkansas or somewhere. Win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat. So remember, we wanted to be positive. So we said always rapidly prototype, I think was the phrase I was going to use. So this is something I enjoy doing. So you want to have a kind of a quick look at what might the default LocalGov Drupal stuff look like without me getting into Figma and spending an hour or 2 hours trying to design small little dots and circles and squares and things like that. If I could just do this quickly, what might it look like? And I can kind of pop a screenshot, we'll say, into Figma to show to a stakeholder that, is this the general idea or direction you want us to go for this? So if we look at something like a service landing page, and the service landing page has this contact this service section here at the bottom. And sorry, my Zoom stuff is in the way. 1 second. Okay. Looking at this, we might say, okay, what's wrong here? Okay, the accent color is blue. It should be a bit darker. It should be kind of a navy. I'd like different font for the headings. This should be the same accent color. What's this called? This little border here in the bottom. And not enough spacing here around the edges. Our default spacing should be 3 rems, not, I think we've got about 1 rem here. There's a sidebar. Don't want the sidebar. Okay, we've got a bit of work to get this done in Figma. Or we can come to our HTML. And this does mean you've got to maybe learn a small little bit of CSS or a small bit of HTML, but let's have a look at how simple this could be. So if we look at this area, come down here to our HTML. So we've got an aside here, and it's got a class of LGD row 1/3. Let's see if we can make sense of that with what's beside it. Hang on, sorry, I'm moving something wrong place there. Okay, so we've got an LGD row here. This got a grid. Okay, this looks like we can make a bit of sense of it. This looks like it's going to be our general layout system. Inside that, we've got an LGD row called full. We can see that going blue at the top. So full obviously means it goes to 100% of its container. Then we've got one that's called 2/3. So I think, again, in terms of our human relatable naming conventions and things, we can probably understand what 2/3 means for this and 1/3 means for this. So let's get the aside and just delete it. We don't want that at all. And then this 2/3, well, judging by the code we have on the top of it, if I change this to word full, it will fill up the full screen. Okay, that looks good. Then if I looked inside it, I can see the little purple going around the edges. Purple means padding. And I can check over here and see the padding is var spacing, which is 1 rem. And we said that we wanted our padding to be 3 rems, wasn't it? So we go with 3 rem. Now I know we should be using a CSS variable for this, so that would be spacing mega. But again, we're rapidly prototyping here, so we can just put in 3 rem here for that. What else? The border here on the side, we want this to be, we want that to be navy, let's say. So we've got a border inline start color accent. Let's change the color accent here to, I'm going to go with check this color out. This is the nicest color we're going to see all day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you're wondering what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is, that is the color for the confident. There's your little bit of a useless knowledge for the day. But we might decide on how would maybe everywhere we have this color accent should be using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's change the accent color itself. When I do that now, watch. All of the sites now using our navy color. So we're pretty rapidly prototyping here. What else have we got? We've got
Mark, can I just interrupt for a sec?
Sure.
We've got about 5 minutes left of the session because we end at 12:45. There's a few questions. Do you want to carry on, or do you want to?
This is actually my last or second last slide, Finn. So I'll be maybe 2 more minutes.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, I'll tell you, I was going to change the color of this, but what I'm getting at here is if you understand a little bit about what the names of our variables are and you can change those, we can change these things. Now, what will happen is that if we look at our change tabs here, we can see what we've changed. What's going to end up happening is that if we refresh our page, we lose our changes. But if we do something like this inside our style editor here, we can add a new style sheet, paste in what we need. So we'll go delete these bits here. And then we can save this to a custom CSS file. We'll call it lgd.css. Now it means any page we come to on our website. So let's not come to this page. Let's look at this step-by-step page. And we'll inspect the element. And we want to do some quick rapid prototyping on the sidebar because it's a lot of work to get these eyes and these things and the circles and everything. We'll come to our style editor. We'll import our LG.css that we had a second ago. And hey presto, we've got all the little bits and pieces. Now, the last one, Finn, I won't hold us up much more. If we went one step further, so what I actually did was I created a style sheet earlier on called local.css. This is what I would suggest you put onto your desktops. So anytime you're looking at demo.localgovdrupal.org, you can import this one here, and you can see then this imports then all the fonts that we need and the colors and the spacing, and things start looking very much like what we would like it to look like very quickly. Then you can take a screenshot of this section of the website and pop it into your Figma. So I'll skip that sheet there, and here's kind of an outline of what the Colchester website is looking like. So this is just basically taking all the principles and patterns that we looked at today, putting them together and designing. This is a service landing page, a news listing page, and this is a service page on the left, a news listing page, and a service page on a tablet view on the right. And like I said, it took us about 5 days to design all the different parts of this. That's it, Finn. Sorry, I'll take questions.
Yeah, no, not at all. Just sorry to interrupt. Just wanted to make you aware of the timing. But that's fantastic. The rapid prototyping in the browser with custom style sheets. That is certainly new to me. So that should, yeah, hopefully that's helpful to lots of people. A couple
In
of
the course, we actually go
questions.
we do go
Sorry, go on.
here. Look, we go one step further. Here's the rapid prototyping in the browser. We use it in the course, just to show a kind of way of cheating if you're under pressure or if you want to show something quickly. So that's it there. So you can see when we changed the red, we didn't get the red updates in this, and the same with that's just an image as well coming from the rapid prototyping module, let's say. So it is a kind of a valid way of getting over a hump sometimes.
Absolutely, and then potentially, yes, it speeds up the actual development, front end development, as needed going forward, like you said,
Yep.
just with some simple CSS overrides.
You can actually
Um,
share that simple CSS sheet with your front-end developers and tell them this is exactly what it's supposed to look like. You go write the proper CSS. I'm just a designer and I've got it, beaten into place.
so there's a question from Chris Gibson at Newcastle about the font awesome icons. Can editors pick the font awesome icons for components with images? For components with images, Chris, maybe you could just explain that question. I don't understand it now.
Sure. It was just that yeah, okay, all font awesome icons available to editors to use, or is it something that would be a task for? I think I know it's going to be a task for a developer.
Yes, it's
So
a
like,
task for developers.
so all of a sudden your third link on the page is no longer the pay link that's got a font awesome item of a monetary note. Then something's changed. The icon's going to be wrong because your template of your CSS is the third link's going to have this icon.
Well, I would expect that the icons would be hard coded into the templates that you're using rather than in via CSS. So you wouldn't say, .li third item uses this icon. You'd say li.facebook uses Facebook icon, li.twitter uses Twitter icon. The other great thing about having them like that then, Chris, is that if icons are inside the templates, let me have a quick look here. You see here we have them embedded inside a template. It means that you can do very simple things with CSS. So we can say put the path fill to red and put the width to, we'll say 3 rems. So that one won't work here with us. But it means that the designers don't have to give us our brand colored font awesome icon plus our brand color 2 font awesome icon plus a gray version, all these different versions. We can do all that part in CSS.
Very cool. Very cool. There is a question from Ollie. Is all the LGD design system out of the box components available on Figma somewhere? I think you said that was the case, right? Is there
Officially, no, they're not all available in Figma anywhere. We don't have an official Figma file. I've made what I've designed for the course available for everybody, but I've only designed the components that I'm actually using in the course. So if the call out box and cards and things like that. We could expand that now. I probably will expand that as we go on, but it's like for getting something done now, this is as much as is available.
So it is available for everything, but that not all the components are present.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. Thank you. Got a question from Dom Tranquil from Warsaw. If so, how often is the LGD design system updated?
I don't think we've updated it since we started, have we? We've changed templates a little bit, but it's more to fix things if there's accessibility issues, or if we, if there's a.
I guess are we talking about
missing.
are we talking about the Figma templates here, or Dom? Perhaps you could come and just clarify the question.
Yeah.
We're talking about the Figma templates or the sort of templating design system within the theme. Oh, he says yes, Figma templates. How often is the Figma template design system updated?
Well, like I was saying a moment ago, we don't have official LocalGov Drupal Figma design templates. So there's only, I guess, what's available in my course thing. And I think some other people, Sutter and other councils, have made their design systems available. So I guess they'd be updated as often as they're updated. I'm kind of planning to kind of have it finished and left aside as this is the finished version of it. And maybe we could work towards an actual LocalGov Drupal version of it then that would have all the components later on.
And or multiple that are kind of forked and evolved in different directions.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of, I guess that's possible in Figma, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very cool. We're kind of slightly over time. Do we have any other questions? Is there any that I've missed in the chat? I don't think so. I did ask one earlier, but I don't. It doesn't matter. Any other questions
hello.
Oh, hello. Who's that?
It's Ryan.
Hi, Ryan.
From H&F. Thanks, Mark, for giving our website a plug earlier. My question was, is your course available now? And if it isn't, when will it be available?
I don't want to talk about the course too much because I don't want to be here plugging it, but I suppose I might as well if I get an option. It's not available yet right now. I took off. I didn't do much client work in August and September, but I didn't get it finished then. I'm back doing client work now. I'm hoping to get it finished by the end of this year. So probably spend some time over Christmas getting it finished out. I'm about halfway through it. And so it should be available in the new year.
Very cool. I think that's all the questions, and we are running up against time, so we should probably wrap up there. So thank you very much. A big round of applause for Mark. Thank you ever so much, Mark Conway of The Confident, for a great session designing for LocalGov Drupal. Thank you for everyone for coming and for your questions and comments. I hope you found it useful. This will be recorded so we can flag it to other people to watch back and reference ourselves. Please give us your feedback. You'll get an email with like a 1 to 5 rating. 5 is top and 1 is bottom. Feel free to give what you want, but it's great if you could describe why you're giving your feedback, some textual explanation. Thank you again to our sponsors, Anatech, Agile Collective, Big Blue Door. There are more sessions this week. There's another one in 10 minutes or so, I think. So have a look on Luma. What's the one in 10 minutes? Beyond Translation, Effective Multilingual LocalGov Drupal in Practice. Should be cracking. So come along to that. And that's it from us. Hopefully see you at a session in 10 minutes or soon. Thanks so much, Mark. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Au revoir.